Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm Gamesplaining Caylus 1303. So, Caylus 1303 is the second version of Caylus, which you may remember. I may even put a link to the original video of Caylus. In fact, Caylus was the first game that I ever did a review of. So it's very old and it's tilted the wrong way. Of course, I didn't know anything back then, but we've come a long way. Caylus 1303 was released near the end of last year. I've only just managed to get my hands on it. Of course, obviously it's a little bit harder to get games in Australia than it is anywhere else, but there you have it. That's my problem, not yours. Caylus 1303 plays from 2 to 5 players, and it is put out by Space Cowboys. I think that owning Caylus and Caylus 1303 is not necessarily a bad idea. They play differently enough, I guess is probably the right way to say it. They are very much similar games. They're so similar, but they have their little intricacies. So it's kind of like having Brass Lancashire and Brass Birmingham, or possibly Clank and Clank in Space. More so the Brass explanation than the Clank version, but there you have it. So what's happening with Caylus 1303 is they've taken the basic Caylus game, which is you have workers and you put those workers onto cards, and then you action those cards in the order along the path, and that's kind of in the essence of it in order to kind of build up on the resources you have so you can spend resources. So if you can get the resources in on this card to spend on that card further down the track, then that's really good, and that's a good way to kind of manipulate the game, I guess. I've found that each time I've played this one that it feels really light compared to original Caylus. That may be that there's a lack of having to build up in the castle. There's a lack of that top right hand different scoring mechanism that's there. So that's kind of the favors, I think they call it. When you get a favor in the original, you would push along one of those paths and that would get you something straight away. In this one, you have the choice of taking a card from a different player or taking a card from on the board plus getting a resource or whatever the cards happen to be at the top. Now, that different way of playing, I don't dislike it. It just feels a little bit easier than the original version. The thing that got me is that the path goes the wrong direction. It goes from the bottom of the board up the board rather than from the top of the board down the board. And I know that's a really finicky, tiny thing, but when you're used to playing one way, it takes a little while to go, oh no, we're playing this way. There is a lot of replayability in this version because the cards that you can gain that I was talking about earlier with the favors, you're only using the number of players plus 3 of them in each game. So if you play 2-player games normally, you're only going to use 5 of them. But there's a whole bunch more that are available. So the different combinations of those cards will be different on every game, and so therefore make it different. When you take that favor, you're taking it from on the board, so one of the 3 on the top of the board, you get to do one of the actions, which are the cards that are placed above that section of the board. They're the cards that exist on the path, but you're pulling one of them out to put it up there. And that can change how you play really dramatically, because sometimes a card that you desperately need, so maybe it's wood, for example, goes up there, and it's really hard to pick up wood down on the basic board. You have to do the stuff to build in the castle to get the wood. And so you find yourself doing the actions to get that resource a little bit more if it's up there and not available down on the main board. And different things like that just kind of going to change your ability or your necessity to do that. And as I say, there's 5 points every time that you trade in resources for the castle building. So at the end of my last game, I think I managed to turn in like 5 sets of 3 resources and got a heap of points, 25 points to be precise, by just that one action. That I don't think is possible in the base game, the original game. There's a little bit more of a crunch on it. The other major difference is the amount of guys you're putting out. So you're employing people to put them out. On the original version, you're paying money for each guy that you put out. On this version, you're just putting a guy out. You have this many guys to start with, put out as many as you like. Once someone else passes, then it's going to cost you 2 guys, and you're returning them to this camp, I guess you call it. And there's a bit of a different crunch on how many of these will I use. If you found a way to actually manipulate the board to get a whole bunch of guys back in, which it is possible to do, then you don't have to worry about that anymore. And so it's a lighter version of the same idea, because you're not spending money, you're just moving a guy. It's more streamlined, to be fair, but it also feels a whole bunch lighter. And I don't know if I necessarily want lighter when I play Caylus. If I'm playing Caylus, I'm probably going to want to get the crunchiness out of it. I think this one removes the crunch. Having said that, it's also a good game. It's still a fun game to play, and it's easy to move through and kind of manipulate, and kind of, if you understand the first game, this one's real easy to understand. If you haven't played the first one, this one actually might not necessarily be a bad idea to get into it, get your head around it, before a heavier crunch on the original, if you can still get the original, that is. I think I've talked enough. I will leave it there. Please go ahead and watch my Gamesplained Gamesplanation to get a feel for how this game actually plays, to see what the rules are actually about. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.